In studio alongside Emory Hunt, the two-time champ Bryant McFadden offering his thoughts as well. And I want to start very elementary, I guess. We can get into some of the who, where, and when. An amazing game by Kyle Pitts. Kirk Cousins leads the way once again. But Emory, simply put, how do you win a football game when committing 19 penalties for 125 yards?
You're living right, because what's lost in that is that the Falcons found a way to recover 2 fumbles that subsequently led to 10 points, or 9 points because they went for 2 and missed it. So you look at how they were able to overcome that mistake. It kind of overshadowed the 19 penalties, because you're right. There's no way on paper you're supposed to win a football game where you gave up nearly a football field and a half worth of penalties. It's some in crucial situations, even on that last drive, and it's mind-boggling that this team, we said, well, they're going to get 20. Well, they had 20, but, a couple were declined. But this was just unreal for the Falcons. And when you have that lack of discipline, it's a big reason why you are 4-9. But this is a situation where they were able to overcome that. Those 2 fumbles that they were able to recover helped them out.
It's a big reason why they're talking about the head coach's job as well. 19 penalties, the most we've seen in a game since 2016. B-Mac, I guess I'll pose it the same way to you here. What was the fatal flaw of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that allowed all of this inefficiency for Atlanta not to ultimately punish them in the end?
Coaching malpractice by Tampa. Coaching malpractice by Tampa. Follow me here. Let me set the stage for you guys. 2 defining moments in this ball game that gave hope for the Atlanta Falcons happened 28-14. Atlanta scored. They scored a touchdown. They went for 2. Number 1, I did not like that decision to go for 2. They went for 2. They did not get it. The score is now 28-20. Because of a penalty on the kickoff, the Buccaneers received the ball at the 40-yard line. You're 2 first downs away from potentially being in field goal range to go up 11 points. But what did they do? They threw the football. Josh Grizzard, who is the OC, that's a moment where you allow the running game to close the game for you. Worst case scenario, you get into field goal range and you go up 2 possessions. But because you were so aggressive with a lead in the 4th quarter, you put the ball in Baker Mayfield's hand. He tried to make something happen, threw an interception to Alford. That gave Atlanta hope. Went down, scored again, went for 2, didn't get it. Now, when you talk about Tampa defensively on the football field, when Hassan Reddick made that sack, you had an opportunity to either accept the penalty or decline the penalty. For whatever reason, Todd Bowles accepted the penalty. Instead of it being 3rd and 18, it's 2nd and 28. You want them to get the 4th down sooner. You don't want to give them more downs to convert the 1st down. That doesn't make any sense. Make them earn it from 3rd and 18. Because if you look at what happened, 2nd and 28 and incompletion, that would have been 4th down. But you gave them 2 opportunities to get 28+ yards. And that's what they did. That moment for me, I'm watching the game, guys, and I'm going crazy. Because now I'm in the mind frame of a player. No, we just got a sack. Keep them at 3rd and 18, coach. All we got to do is get 2 stops. We got to get 2 stops. It didn't make any sense. But because he declined to play, if you're Atlanta, you like that, because now we got more downs to convert the 1st down, in which they did. This is a game Tampa should not have lost at all. But because of those 2 defining moments for me, man, this is why their fans are booing right now.
Yeah, it's a tough one to swallow for the fans and for the team. Mac matching the energy that we saw, and the question posed by Mike Evans clearly on the sideline, what are we doing, was sort of his question down the stretch here. And it's something that we could pick apart in many of these sliding door moments in the midst of this game. The ultimate result of it is a season that's now up for grabs when you look at the grand scheme of the South. Now a 59% chance to make the playoffs. We know it's only through a 1 division. They do have those 2 matchups still with Carolina. Would have been an 82% chance to make the playoffs with a victory here on Thursday night. Instead, The Panthers will sleep on the lead in the division until Sunday at 7-6, coming off the bye, well rested off that win against LA. Back to the here and now, fellas, because we're looking at a Tampa Bay offense that went for 338 yards, didn't necessarily blow your hair back. The question pregame was, how would they use Mike Evans? Decoy, red zone. Well, how's 12 for 132? It felt like production, Emory, but no rhythm. What did you see offensively from Tampa?
It felt like Tampa was pressing every time they had the football. Like they were trying to win the division on every play. Every pass, they were trying to punch their ticket to the postseason when they didn't allow the game to naturally flow to them. You talk about all the targets that we saw from Mike Evans. We saw the same thing for Emeka, and we didn't really see Bucky Irvin get involved in a natural game script type of a way, which now when you need to be Max point, when you have to go and lean on a run game to close out the ball game, you don't have the rhythm to do so. And they had some issues up front trying to protect Baker Mayfield, especially on the interior. They were getting blown back by the Atlanta Falcons defensive interior. Dorless had himself a really good day applying pressure. So not only could you not protect Baker Mayfield, he got hit often. And on one of those passes when they had the football under 2.5 minutes trying to close out the game, they threw the pass to Emeka. Baker had a clean pocket, but because he was hit so much, he sort of got rattled a little bit and threw it late and behind Emeka, which stopped the clock, which allowed them to go ahead and Atlanta get the ball again. So when you don't have the protection, you wasn't in a running back, or the running back wasn't getting into a groove, didn't have real flow, everything was out of sync. I felt like they were pressing, and we saw that manifest itself in how they lost this game offensively.
Now 1-5 in their last 6, and your last 2 losses have come against Tyler Shuck and the New Orleans Saints, Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons. You could frame it that way, but this is an Atlanta Falcons team, Mac, that still has plenty of talent on it, and they showed it here tonight. Probably the best we've ever seen out of Kyle Pitts. He finishes his day 11 for 166, 3 touchdowns, and a massive one late in this game. It felt like the most engaged we've seen Kyle Pitts, and that's something that's happened over time throughout this season. What'd you make of that individual performance?
Well, during the pregame show when we went over our prop segment, the Kyle Pitts prop was my favorite one associated with the Falcons pass catcher because of what he's done leading up to tonight's ball game. The chemistry with Kyle Pitts and Kirk Cousins has really taken his game to a whole nother level. He's looking like Kyle Pitts of his rookie season. I mean, we always knew he had talent, but for whatever reason, because of injuries and just a lack of rhythm, we haven't really seen that talent surface in a consistent way. But over the last few weeks, man, he's been one of the hotter tight ends in the National Football League. And in a game where they needed him to be at his best without Drake London, he put forth his best effort. I mean, this was his first receiving yard game since 2021. That's how long it's been. 3 touchdowns. He was phenomenal. And the thing is, we heard during the halftime presser coming out of halftime, we heard Todd Bowles said, it's probably time to double him in man-to-man situations. Well, I didn't see any doubles on Kyle Pitts, especially during the last 2 offensive drives for the Atlanta Falcons. One man was beating you in the passing game. One man, and he beat you for 4 quarters. So Kyle Pitts, Kirk Cousins, Kirk threw for 373 and 3 touchdowns.
He loves the matchup. He loves the Bucs, man.
I mean, this is what Tampa, what are we doing? We just saw Tyler Shuck have a great day against you last week at home. Then Kirk Cousins came in and did the same thing plus more. Like Tampa, they got a whole lot of problems going on, which is, for me, defensively, when your defense is kind of straddling the fence trying to get stops, offensively, you got to slow it down. Guys, I'm sorry. I'm just venting because when I see bad football, man, it's hard for me not to talk about it. They control the game in the second half. Tampa did. They controlled the game in the second half. They outrushed Atlanta by 1 rush. Tampa had 22, Atlanta had 21. In the second half, who was fighting from behind until the very last offensive play? The Falcons. Right? Make it make sense. Make it make sense to me.
I will say this. It's fascinating. The Falcons really was getting what they wanted against Tampa Bay. A lot of the Falcons' big plays in the first half was taken away by penalties. They had a lot of chunk plays against this Bucs defense, and this was a defense that had the ability to get pressure, but that Falcons offensive line, I thought, whipped Tampa up front consistently. Yes. You saw how they was comboing to the backer. Bijan was getting outside whenever he wanted to. Algier was having some success running off tackle, running right down Main Street. So the offensive line kept Kirk. We talked about this watching the. I was like, man, Cousins' uniform is rather clean.
Clean at the end.
At the end. And so he was able to hit whatever he wanted in the passing game because of that protection up front.
It's
Hey, we saw the signs, but we didn't really believe the signs. Remember at halftime, the score was 14-13 in favor of Atlanta. Atlanta had a 1-point lead, and they had 10 penalties already in the first half.
Yeah.
That was the telling sign.
It was, we got a different second 30 minutes, but the result very similar in terms of the points accrued and the penalties then taken in the second half. As for Kirk Cousins, now 17 touchdowns, 2 interceptions in 6 career games against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, was averaging 334 yards per game. This one going to help the average. 370 plus here for Kirk Chains, about 70% completion. This is what he gives you in this head-to-head matchup. This night was supposed to be about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it still very much is. It's just in the vein of a loss, Emory. When we do push it forward, it's all about Week 16 and Week 18, the head-to-heads that they will have with the Carolina Panthers. Carolina, just for a matter of record here, does have the New Orleans Saints coming up here on Sunday in the Dirty Boot. And then you look at the head-to-heads. The in-between is important as well. Dolphins for the Bucs, Seahawks for the Panthers. What makes you believe that this Tampa Bay team can still pull themselves up by the bootstraps and represent the NFC South?
Nothing, because what they're going to face in Carolina is something that they got a little bit of here against Atlanta. You talk about the passing game of the Panthers and how they're finding their success and finding their rhythm. But let's add the element of the running quarterback with Bryce Young. So now you have a quarterback that can break camp and get out of Dodge. Anytime you face an aggressive style defense and you have to account for the 11th guy, the quarterback running, it calms that pressure. Now you're going to have all these receivers having success finding these one-on-one matchups versus a beat-up defense that really can't get stops. And we saw the Falcons have their way. They forced the Bucs to try to either communicate through zone or pass guys off in man coverage or pick guys up coming into their area. But when you look at how the Panthers are playing with rhythm and how now Bryce Young, when everything is covered initially, can get outside by time, and now that kind of creates a scramble drill, they're in trouble.
Yeah.
This is a big-time loss for the for the Bucs, because now they're going to face a better version of the Falcons in the Panthers.
Mac, I don't see you eager to make a sales pitch here for the Bucs either. It's gonna come down to 16 and 18. Do you see this team able to change what they are right now? Because this is clearly over the last 2 months what they've become.
Realistically speaking, guys, can they change? Yes, they can, because they have personnel. Remember how we raved about Tampa in the month of September, right? Remember when Baker was being Baker, winning ball games, and they were finding ways to win. They have personnel. I think for me, it's about the coaching element and not getting mesmerized with the weapons surrounding Baker. I think for Coach Josh Grizzard, he was so geeked that he finally had Mike Evans and Jalen McMillan and Chris Godwin and Ibuka all in the lineup, and Tez Johnson. I got to throw it around. No. Allow those guys to open up the running game for you. Because when you looked at what they were doing, especially how they were attacking Bryant in the secondary, the young rookie from Kansas, man, they started playing a shell coverage. So you guys know how it is. When you got a shell coverage, you got a favorable matchup in the running game for you as an offense. Run the football. Rashard White only had 1 carry. Sean Tucker only had 4 carries. Those are guys that are different style backs than Bucky Irvin, which change of pace could really be deadly against a defense. So I think they got to go back to the drawing board and look at why they lost this ball game. Because as bad as Atlanta played, Tampa still lost this ball game. This game should have never been that close. That is the most confusing thing. So can they change it? Yes, Joe, they can, because it's not like they don't have talent. And for some reason on the defensive side, if they don't send extra pressure, they're not getting pressure. So they got to come up with a way to get guys free without sending extra blitzes in the concept. But, I mean, I look at it like this. This is how I'm going to break it down in terms of Carolina and Tampa. Follow me here. Because Carolina a few weeks ago lost to who? New Orleans, right? And then they showed up against the Rams. We just saw New Orleans beat Tampa tonight. Atlanta beat Tampa. Both of these teams are very, very hard to trust. It's like trusting a 5-year-old to do an algebra problem. You know it might not happen. So which 5-year-old do you trust the most between Carolina and Tampa to figure out this algebra problem.
I'm
Because-
glad that you brought up the math, Mac, because maybe the biggest loss here tonight is that we are unable to take the analytics team to task. The go for two. The go for two at 28-20 and forces you into the
That don't
second
make it.
go for two. You know, they say, thank you, fellas.
Can't keep getting away with it.
They say you're going to get one of the two, Emory.
And you missed
You got neither, and you had to drive the length of the field again, but that's a conversation for another day. It's football, not a math problem. Maybe it's a math problem in the South. Who's going to end up with the higher number? Well, that'll come down to Week 16 and Week 18. The Bucs and the Panthers go head-to-head, but they have walked a fine line this season in Tampa.